Republicans knew that the referendum was an option before the special session? I get a sense that some of them did. I'm not really sure the White House did. Because otherwise, I don't know if they would have pressured them if it's just going to get overturned or won't go into effect until 2028.
Well, as we know, these shots were not called in Missouri. We could go down the timeline. We've done these things all week long, down, and they did this. I don't know. There was a lot of thought. The map was drawn in D.C. So I think you kind of answered your own question from what I can tell is, and quite frankly, many of them probably don't know what a referendum is.
This new map will split the KCPS school district into 3 different congressional districts. What impacts could that have? How do you foresee that making a difference? Better or worse?
Hi, as a Kansas City, Missouri public school graduate, this is going to be detrimental. Like I stated on the floor, we have one area of the city where on that one corner, there will be 3 different congressional districts if this map were to pass. That happens to be our most vulnerable area because that is where, as you know, Charlie, that is where we have most of our immigrants that live there. Our refugees are placed in that area. So this will be very harmful because let's say you have a Republican who has a rural community where we have a significant amount of immigrants. We have 5 languages, a high school with 87 languages, and the things that they need, the resources which are already being cut, will not be addressed the same way as they are now. So this is going to hurt us. We need money for housing for our kids. We need money to address our homelessness. We need money to help decrease truancy. We have programs where all of our elementary schools have before and after school programs that feed children, and for some kids that's the only food that they get all week. We give them bags of food for the weekend to go home. These are not things that are happening in other communities. So for that to be split up, that means the interests are going to be split up, and that means our children will be put to the bottom.
I know on the floor, Senator Williams, you said that in your time here, it hadn't been until last May that Republicans had used a previous question. We've now seen them use it 4 times over the past few months. Is there any plan moving forward? Is bipartisan legislation a thing of the past? And then what can you do in retribution for this?
Well, it's not about me. It's about the Senate. And I think it's simple. It's going to be imperative that these newer members behind me really set the stage on why the Senate as an institution should be a place that everyone's voice is heard. I mean, we all have constituents we represent. They all deserve to have a voice at the table, and today that did not happen. This week it did not happen, and to be quite just candid with you, it's a shame, and I'm embarrassed, and I hope moving forward our Republican colleagues recognize that we have a duty to represent Missouri and not Donald Trump's agenda.
Do any of you have a sense of the timeline as far as when the governor needs to sign this, when the referendum would start? It sounds like the referendum folks want it to start now, but they're apparently being told that they need to wait for the governor to sign it. Are we in for a game of chicken as far as the timeline is concerned?
Well, either way, at the time the clock starts, it's 90 days from whenever that action is. I thought it was supposed to be the end of session. I could be wrong there. But at the end of this session, that 90-day clock starts, and that signatures can start to be gathered. They'll object to the language or whatever. It doesn't matter. They can still go collect the signatures.
So, Senator, normally a referendum would appear on the November.
We prefer to call it a citizen's veto. So we're going to call that a citizen's veto at this point.
It would appear on the November 2026 ballot, unless the legislature were to set a sooner date, if I'm understanding things correctly. Does that sound right?
I believe the governor sets the date for the elections.
He does for special elections, but for a referendum, the last time I thought the legislature had to act to set a special date for the right to work referendum.
Folks who want to ask the referendum people about the referendum.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't know that part of it. I don't know.
Yeah, I think I recall that the legislature did set the date for the referendum.
We set it for August.
Yes, we set it for August when we were in the legislature last time.
I know there was a similar conversation in May when Republicans repealed 2 voter-approved measures already. Now that this happens, can Democrats use this, where you can use what Republicans have done against Missouri voters to pick up seats in the state legislature? Because we've heard the talk that this could maybe turn into a 5-3 map instead of a 7-1 map. But how can Democrats gain ground here in this building?
Well, that's a good question. I think we're going to gain ground because I think the public sees what's happening. Republicans are taking away their vote. Republicans are watering down their vote. They don't want their ideas put into the Constitution. They don't want their ideas, as we've seen this year, even do statutory because they took away earned sick pay from workers. 58% of people voted for that. So I think people are seeing that across the board, and it's up to them to make that logical jump, and we will help them as much as we can to understand what is at stake.
Do you think that what happened this special session, which includes passing a map with literally no changes, passing probably the most restrictive IP proposal that's ever been proposed, and then PQing the rules, do you think this is the new normal in the legislature, or do you think this is an aberration because of the Trump pressure?
Yeah, it's a shame, and it started at the end of last session, and this story has to be told as we went through all of last session in good faith, and we debated and negotiated on many big items here until the end of the session, when Republican leadership literally lied to me and my caucus members. They lied to us and said that they were in good faith negotiations, and then they used the previous question in the end of session. That brought us into this where we are now. We went through another special session, really doesn't worth mentioning or bringing up. But we did do well in that session as far as Senate Democrats go. And now we're at this point where I'll just be honest with you. It's like they changed the rules. They changed the rules because they didn't think they could beat us. They changed the rules because it was inconvenient for them. They wanted to get out of here as fast as possible. The Speaker of the Senate, the President of the Senate said today in a Facebook post that this is going to be a really long day for her. It was 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock. I've been here with my colleagues on the phone. We've been here all the time. We've been at 51 hours. If somebody wants to know what a long day is. So they were inconvenienced by this. We didn't call for it. We didn't ask for this. We didn't ask for this fight, but we showed up.
What do you think resonated with Republicans to have them vote against the map? I mean, 2 of them did at least.
I think integrity. I think they stated it very well. They didn't want something shoved down their throat, and they had no choice in it, and they had no options to amend it, and they were being told how to vote. And as a senator, we represent the people in our district and that. So we have to have the power to be able to make those decisions. And they were told how to vote. This is a very House mentality situation. Around here, and my colleagues I'm sure would agree with me, or my Senate Democrats here, around here, everything is not a partisan issue. Everything is not a herd-up issue, and it shouldn't be. Each individual senator has power. Each individual senator is, what I was told when I first got here, is on an island. That has gone away because they do whatever their leadership tells them. They set the PQs in front of them, and they line up like cattle to sign them. And they don't ask questions.
And that's not leadership. That's following.
Along those lines, Senator Nicola engaged with you on the floor on Wednesday. Seemed like he might be a no. He ended up voting yes on the PQs and...
You'd have to ask Senator Nicola about that.
Did it surprise you at all?
Not really. I mean, I see a lot around here. I mean, I think I'll be honest with you, I think they're trying to play both sides of the coin. He's going to have sound bites saying how he stood up and blah, 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 and then he votes yes. So I don't know what people think. We've seen people split their votes. I'm not sure exactly what they're thinking. I think a lot of them, their heart wasn't in doing this. Originally, when he talked to me, he did not want to do this. For all the things I stated, he felt like it was being shoved down his throat to vote for this, and he was being ordered to vote for this. But then at the end of the day, he voted for it.
When we look at the initiative petition change measure, that we know for sure is going to go to Missouri voters. Senator Beck, I know you in committee yesterday called the ballot language deceptive, and I've looked at it when it talks about foreign nationals being banned from voting. That's already illegal. What is the plan moving forward to make sure that citizens vote that down at the ballot box, which I would assume is the preference of your party, right?
Well, it's not the preference of just our party. It's the preference of a whole lot of different coalitions. There's going to be a lot of coalitions. If you were here a couple days ago, you've seen well over 4,000 people in this building. And that's the biggest rally I've seen since 2017 when Right to Work was happening. And at the end of the day, Right to Work was defeated by 68% of the vote. I'm not saying that is indicative of what's going to happen here, but it can. And if you remember in that committee hearing that you just mentioned, when I asked the representative who was carrying the bill, what is the number one objective of the bill, and he said it was to change the vote to a majority in all 8 congressional districts, then I asked them, why is that not the first thing listed? So you're trying to deceive the voters if that is not the first thing listed, period. And you're starting something else that you think is popular, which is probably popular with, quite frankly, with our caucus. We don't want foreign powers getting into ballot issues. We just passed a bill this year to do that. So it's deceiving the public by not putting what you're actually trying to do as the first thing.
Okay, thanks everyone.
Thanks.
Hey, I've asked the referendum or initiative, the people for their press contact. I'm going to give it to you guys for if you have questions for how that all works. So the people, not politicians. This is the group to whom I'm being told.
Welcome back to the KCTV5 Live Desk. I'm Katie Bird. We are tracking breaking news out of Jefferson City as we speak. Missouri Republicans handed President Trump a big political victory today. They gave final approval on the redistricting map. It could help Republicans win another seat in the House in next year's election. Again, if you're just joining us, we just got off of a press conference. I'm going to go ahead and walk you through what we know so far and what will be happening in the coming days here in Missouri. It is the Democratic response to this redistricting. That was the press conference you just listened to. Now, the Senate passed the plan today. It includes a new map of District 5, and it now heads to Governor Kehoe for his signature. He is expected to sign it. The House passed it earlier this week during a special session called by Governor Kehoe, and today Republicans actually had to cut off debate in order to get the vote through. After Democrats attempted to stall again, it now goes to Governor Mike Kehoe. I do want to give you a little bit more background on this, and as I do that, I'm going to go ahead and pull up the map that is going to be changed in Kansas City's District 5. Give me just a second as I pull this up here. The map, again, if you've been following this throughout the recent weeks, it splits up District 5. This currently belongs to Congressman Emanuel Cleaver, and it shaves off portions of the district and stretches the rest of it into Republican-heavy rural areas. Now, Cleaver has served in office for 20 years, and he won with over 60% of the vote in both 2024 and 2022. Now, Ashley Awney, House Minority Leader, recently commented saying, "Never before has a political party in Missouri inflicted so much damage on itself. The institutions of state government and the electoral process in so short a time." And she also went on to say, "What Republicans wrought this week will reverberate throughout the state history as a chilling example of what happens when a cowardly majority sacrifices not only what is just and right, but also its own self-respect on the altar of authoritarianism." And Republicans like to claim Missouri as a solidly red state, but as a result of their own actions, that change is starting now. Again, this was what Ashley Awney recently said. Now, when Kehoe called this special session, he said the hope was to redraw the congressional districts and to ensure the new map reflects, in quote, Missouri values and conservative common sense values of the state. If you're curious what this new redistricted map will look like right here in the metro, I have it pulled up on your screen. This is what Governor Kehoe is calling the Missouri First map. You can take a look and see the line goes just over Blue Springs into Raytown, around Blue, I think that meant to say Blue Springs. That says Blue Summit. I don't think that's right. Going up into Sugar Creek, Riverbend, and so that is the new map here in the KC Metro. And again, how it will affect other parts of Missouri as well. You can look at this on Missouri Governor Mike Kehoe's website. I want to go ahead and give you guys some more information if you're just tuning in wanting to catch up on what's going on. But before we do that, our reporter Grace Smith reported from Jefferson City on this earlier this week on Wednesday. Go ahead and listen in right now.
Chant.
Very unfair.
Bus after bus.
The people united will never be defeated.
Chants inside and out. It was a packed house as people from all over Missouri joined the over 1,000 protesters at the Capitol.
This is not a right or left issue. This is not a centrist issue. This is a rights issue.
Protesters calling today a day of action after the House passed the redistricting bill, pushing it forward to the Senate, who started their session Wednesday afternoon.
Stand up and fight back.
Protesters lined the Capitol to get in as the session started, packing all floors of the rotunda.
Right now, they're trying to make Kansas City weak.
This group of 200 women, made up of Democrats, Republicans, and independents, traveled from the metro to let their voices be heard.
We all vote, and we are not happy with what's happening. This is Missouri. We're fair-minded.
Many say they also came to stand for their children and future generations.
My son is going to be 18 tomorrow. We're doing this for him.
Again, you just saw there over 1,000 protesters in Jefferson City, Missouri's state capital, as the special session continued earlier this week. And of course, today, the redistricted map in Emanuel Cleaver's 5th district is making its final steps as it goes to Missouri Governor Mike Kehoe. Again, he is expected to pass this. I want to go ahead and give you guys some more background information and kind of a breakdown of what's been happening in case you're just now joining. Now, of course, there's already opposition. Opponents immediately announced a referendum petition if that's successful, and it could force a statewide vote on the new map. Now, Republicans currently do hold 6 of Missouri's 8 House seats, and Missouri is the 3rd state to up redistricting in a national battle for partisan advantage. This is ahead of the midterm elections, and of course, each seat truly could be critical as the split between Democrats and Republicans is close, just 3 seats to win control of the House. And I do want to read another quote. This is from Susan Delben. She released the following statement on Missouri's gerrymandered map. She said, despite bipartisan opposition, the majority of Republicans in Jefferson City have once again chosen to ignore the will of Missouri voters. She went on to say, in passing a gerrymandered map that breaks up Kansas City and pairing the map with undemocratic legislation that would eliminate the public's ability to pass ballot initiatives, Missouri Republicans are sending a dreadful but clear message. They don't work for the people of Missouri. They work for themselves. Again, this was DCCC Chair Susan Delben. She released the following statement regarding this new gerrymandered map that is likely to now be passed by Governor Kehoe. Again, I do want to emphasize we have this map and a lot of information on the KCTV5 website. You can find all the breaking latest updates if you go to kctv5.com or the KCTV5 news app. Again, I do want to show again the Missouri First map here. You can see the line goes right through Emanuel Cleaver's District 5, affecting Jackson County, Lafayette County, Clay County, Ray County, all of these areas here in the Kansas City metro. And of course, again, that's why you saw so many Kansas Cityans heading out to Jefferson City earlier this week, just as Gray Smith, our reporter, spoke with many of them. I want to go ahead and play that one more time, as we do have a lot of new viewers on this stream. Go ahead and listen into what these protesters had to say.
Very unfair.
Bus after bus. Chants inside and out. It was a packed house as people from all over Missouri joined the over 1,000 protesters at the Capitol.
This is not a right or left issue. This is not a centrist issue. This is a rights issue.
Protesters calling today a day of action after the House passed the redistricting bill, pushing it forward to the Senate, who started their session Wednesday afternoon.
Stand up and fight back.
Protesters lined the Capitol to get in as the session started, packing all floors of the rotunda.
Right now, they're trying to make Kansas City weak.
This group of 200 women, made up of Democrats, Republicans, and independents, traveled from the metro to let their voices be heard.
We all vote, and we are not happy with what's happening. This is Missouri. We're fair-minded.
Many say they also came to stand for their children and future generations.
My son is going to be 18 tomorrow. We're doing this for him.
Very unfair.
Bus after bus.
We just got word that Emanuel Cleaver has released a statement regarding the Missouri Senate's passage of this redistricted map, I want to go ahead and read that for you. Cleaver says, in quote, "Despite tens of thousands of Missourians taking the time to call their state lawmakers and travel to the Missouri legislature, followed the marching orders dictated by power brokers in D.C. and took the unprecedented step of enacting mid-decade redistricting without an updated census." Cleaver goes on to say, "While I'm grateful for the lawmakers in both parties who refused to go along with this power grab, I'm deeply disappointed that Missouri's legislature put the wishes of Washington above the voices of their own constituents and the needs of our communities," whether it is families in Kansas City or the labor community, the business community, the faith community. Emanuel Cleaver says that he knows the people of Missouri share in this disappointment. Cleaver goes on to say, "However, I want to be very clear to those who are frustrated by today's outcome. This fight is far from over. Together in the courts and in the streets, we will continue pushing to ensure the law is upheld, justice prevails, and this unconstitutional gerrymander is defeated." Now, we have received quite a few reactions from different organizations, and before I go into our next one, I want to go ahead and play some coverage from reporter Hannah Falcon, who's been in Jefferson City covering the redistricting special session. Take a listen in.
To a quiet warning.
If you fight fire with fire long enough, all you're going to have left is ashes.
Missouri Democrats, both in the state Senate and the U.S. House, are standing up against a special session to change the congressional districts and make it more difficult to amend the Constitution. But the supermajority Republican Party pushes on.
We can sit here and give all the political theater that we want. The question is, are we actually representing the constituency of Missouri with our congressional delegation.
But even members of the majority party are frustrated with the process.
Because I don't appreciate being handed one map or one piece of legislation without the ability to be able to make changes on it.
Two bills received approval from a Senate committee Thursday. One would carve up Kansas City into 3 congressional districts, likely increasing Republican representation in Washington, D.C.
I'm running. Right now I'm running.
Congressman Emanuel Cleaver is fighting to save his seat, so he skipped on a day of work in D.C. to come speak with state senators.
I'll be dead and gone. Happens here, it will still be part of what happens in the 5th District.
A Senate committee gave approval to the bills, setting them up for a final vote Friday. From a shouted protest to a quiet warning.
If you fight fire with fire long enough, all you're going to have left is ashes.
Missouri Democrats, both in the state Senate and the U.S. House, are standing up against a special session to change the congressional districts and make it more difficult to amend the Constitution. But the supermajority Republican Party pushes on.
We can sit here and give all the political theater that we want. The question is, are we actually representing the constituency of Missouri with our congressional delegation?
But even members of the majority party are frustrated with the process.
Because I don't appreciate being handed one map or one piece of legislation without the ability to be able to make changes on it.
Two bills received approval from a Senate committee Thursday. One would carve up Kansas City into 3 congressional districts, likely increasing Republican representation in Washington, D.C.
I'm running. Right now I'm running.
Congressman Emanuel Cleaver is fighting to save his seat, so he skipped on a day of work in D.C. to come speak with state senators.
I'll be dead and gone. Happens here, it will still be part of what happens in the 5th District.
A Senate committee gave approval to the bills, setting them up for a final vote Friday. From a shouted protest
the Constitution means nothing? Nothing?
Thanks so much for tuning in to the KCTV 5 Live Desk. Now, KCTV News at 3:30 starts in just a few minutes. We will be tracking this breaking news into the afternoon and evening, so make sure to stay tuned. We appreciate you joining us. Have a great rest of your afternoon.
The Constitution means nothing?